Recording is on.
Okay.
Cool. We are live.
All right.
So I am logged in, and I will await you to tell me something to do here.
Okay.
And actually, what'll probably make more sense if you want to share your screen,
Sure.
I'm gonna make this full screen if I can, so I can see what you're doing
Okay.
and be able to record it.
Sure. Okay. Let me share my screen here. Start screen sharing. Okay. And then, boom. I guess we'll share this one. All right. All right. So here is our. So we're looking in our. So this is. I don't know how much Hassam has told you about what we do, but we've got So these are our main applications, and primarily, like Sam said, we're geared primarily catered towards like the manufacturing environment. Like so, we just finished up a deployment yesterday, or at a bus manufacturer. They're currently rolling out GigBot, which is our defect tracker and traceability app. They've got a few of the others. I know they're using Routine for their document control. They're also using Resolve. So get a couple of different things going on there, but they're picking up their GigBot, which is like their defect tracking. Let me kind of show you. Let me show you that. So all of our applications. So once you log in, this is your kind of your main screen where you select the different apps that you want to look at, and then each app has its own dashboard. All of our dashboards are pretty similar as far as like layout goes or like design, but the idea is that the user can like customize their dashboard and see how things are going, see what new information is looking like. So here I can see here's everything for a particular department. I've made a second dashboard that looks at like primary weld, and so I can show me everything in just a single individual department. I can pull that up. I guess I can have this here, and it looks like there's not a whole lot of information on here. So so you kind of see this individual scale departments. You have multiple departments. The idea being that like if you had let's say you wanted to see an entire company, you were like the CEO or director of operations or something like that, you want to see everybody, you can do that. Or if you're just a supervisor and you're like, I want to see everything in my departments. I was chatting with a customer yesterday, and she has like 7 dashboards like queued up, and she can just like toggle between all of them. It's pretty sweet. But yes, so they all have a dashboard right here. And then the idea is, so for this application in particular is a defect tracking application. And so the users would log in, and this is what we did a lot of training on the last couple of days. Is the users would come here, they'd add a defect. Come from a place they can do that. Just click here to add their defect, and then it's going to take them to the defect database, and it's going to bring up a little pop-up. So here they start tracking information about this database. They can track, is this internal? Was this a vendor issue? So let's say it's an internal, and then they plug in a job number. Job numbers that are not valid. Plug in a job number, boom, we got some information here. It plugs in, they select their site. Here's some information. They select captured in. Capture type is an in-process inspection. I already know that. Here, let's say it was a missing rivet in the sidewall. The only reason was lack of standard, and then whatever. We got all that left count blank. Good. All right. So once you do that, you capture your database, you capture your defect. That defect goes into the database, and the idea is that as an operator, then your quality team, capture this defect. Someone got notified saying that, hey, you have a defect here. Come sign it off. So like the whoever's in charge of correcting the defects would come. They grab this. They fill their work on the defect. They do their work on it, and then once they're done, they would just grab it, mark it to corrected by. They can put some notes in here, and then the cost of poor quality. So if they want to track material costs, we can connect to like companies' ERP systems, and so if they start plugging in part numbers, it'll automatically start retrieving part costs and descriptions, things like that. So you can start tracking how much you're actually spending time as well. You can start tracking how much you're spending repairing defects. It's really good data to have if you're a manufacturer. You want to start getting a handle on those. So boom, you got that. And then once you're done, quality team is like, yep, you corrected the defect, good job. They would mark it as approved. Put some more notes in here if they want. Verify. And then boom, it's been marked. So this is like the idea is that we get real quick defect tracking. And from there, we can get metrics that come out of this. I can see my defect report. I want to know, like, one of the things we always, like, if you ever want to, like, check if you want to check a supervisor and be like, okay, so, like, how much are they really in their stuff? Just ask them, like, okay, so what are your top 10, like, defects? Or what are your top 3 defects? The idea is that they should be able to answer that, because they should, you'd want to get a handle on those. But yeah, so that's kind of what this application does in particular, is just defect tracking. Yeah. And we've got a few others. We've got, let's go back here. We've got a few other applications. You've got routine, which thinking about what you guys do. Routine is our standard work document control. We've got a couple of, we got a way that you can pull up a standard work document. And so your standard work document would say, like, step 1, collect your tools, all that stuff. And then you can have a way that the idea is that would play on, like, your either your screen, or it could play on your tablet. And then you can just, like, page through the pages. And so each page has a picture, and then here's what's going on in the picture. Any important notes like PPE or safety equipment or tools that you would need, they show up there. Sort of stuff. Yeah, so here's the defect chart. So if you want to pull up your defect chart, you can do that. Let's see. So here's our top defects. Here's our defects according to, like, you can see that. Yeah, get some good data that way. Any other? I'm trying to get. Wait. He's just being really slow today. Not sure what's going on. Any questions about, like, the defect tracking app we have?
No, it was pretty straightforward, seeing it all for the first time. So
yeah,
very cool.
It does a few other things. Like, you can add checklists to this. You can add checklists to it. We're gonna try this again.
It stopped sharing. I guess you did that on purpose.
Yeah, it kind of crashed. The browser crashed on me. I don't know what was going on there. Let's try this again. All right, let's try this again. It does a few other things. Like, you can create checklists in there. So you can have, like, if our end of your quality inspection into the line checklist, you can put that in there. And so instead of just, like, capturing defects free-handed, you can just, like,
hey Josh, what we just saw, I'm looking at the names of the modules there. Was that in Resolve?
That was in Gigbot. We were just looking at
Gigbot. Oh, okay. Yeah. Defect tracker. Gotcha.
Yeah. Defect tracking. Yeah.
Okay.
And it also does checklists. So you can put checklists in there. And then, like, as you run your checklist, if you click, like, no, like, this doesn't meet the checklist, it'll automatically just, like, create the defect right there. And then you can also, the cool thing about this is one of the issues we see pretty frequently is that, so quality is checking for items, but the question is do your operations team also know that those are important items that we need to be checking on? Like, how do we know that our operations and our quality are reading off the same page, And so that's where we have standard work documents. So standard work, so the cool thing about this is, like, all these different tools, as you get them, they connect together. Like, you can buy them individually based on your need, but once the more you have, like, the more connections between them there are. Excuse me. And so they get, like, a lot more powerful. So let's think about checklists for a minute. So you could have a checklist that someone in quality makes up a checklist and says, here are the 25 things we check before we move on to the next department. But here's the thing, that is a checklist that someone's gonna have to manage, So if we change the things, not only do you change it there where you changed it, but you also got to go change your checklist, to double give that. And then if you are ISO certified or any of that, you have to keep a record of all those checklists. And that's a pain. So this is where, like, routine is our standard work module. So what routine does is you have all your standard work in here. So let's look at exterior skins. This is based on a bus manufacturer. Here is a workstation. In this workstation are 16 documents. Each of these documents describe an operation. So in this case, installing a 16 light monitor harness, installing the rear door, et cetera, et cetera. You can pull that stuff up. You can play these as like a play-by-play, we call it here. Let me share this tab instead, and you can see this tab. So this is like, so you can pull this up on like a tablet or something, like your iPad. You can translate this if you want to like English, Spanish, French, whatever. And so that's really handy. We have a couple of customers who have plants here in the States. They have other plants like in Mexico or something like that. So they can write documents and it'll be applicable in both plants. So that's pretty cool. Let's go back to English because I did not take French. And now we get lost. All right. So yeah, here's your front page, your PPE that you need. Here's your tools that you need for this operation. It takes 2 operators, takes 2 minutes. It's a medium skill. And then boom, you just kind of go through here and you can kind of start paging through and see images. And these images can be marked up. Looks like these are all pretty straight ahead. Oh, someone added a line here. So you go through here, have this up, boom. I know I can do my work, and this will kind of walk me through that process. I'm going to switch back to this tab. So that's like a play-by-play. If I want to download that document or print it, I can do it this way, and it'll look like this. So here's what a print preview would look like. So here's all this stuff. Again, like here's this little QR code. I can scan this with my phone reader or like my tablet, and it'll take me right to that play-by-play. So if I want to print out these, I can have a whole bunch of QR codes hanging up. So let's say if like I go to a workstation, and in this workstation we install the side skins or whatever this operation is. There's QR code, boom, scan it with my phone or my tablet, and it brings me right to the work instructions. So here's our work instructions. We can see all the trained employees. They've signed off on it. Keep scrolling. And then here's like documents. If you want to print this out, and then if you want to print this out, you can just click save, and it'll, kick this out to a PDF or something like that. Let me go back to here. This application routine, you get a lot of there's a lot of cool features in this. So you've got our standard work document. You've got, you do all that stuff. Now these standard work documents, let me show you inside here. Share this tab instead. Okay, so let's say inside the standard work document, you've got here's our steps. So here's like that header information up here once it's done loading. And then you can look down here, you can see here's like the steps, and note these step types: critical to quality, incoming inspection. All of these quality steps, if you have GigBot 2, instead of having a checklist, you can go and say, pull up all the quality steps in exterior skins. And it'll grab all of these. And then on your checklist is now formatted. Like you don't have to create your checklist anymore. Your checklist just goes and pulls everything here. And so now your checklist says, only operators, whatever this is, ensure that protective plastic has been removed, ensure that rear skins, right? So so now where your quality checklist and your operations are looking at the same thing. They're like, yep, all this stuff matters. And so now you don't have to keep track of like checklists and standard work and all that stuff at the same time. Makes life pretty easy. Yeah. And then also, additionally, my little boy's here with me.
And working from home is an adventure.
It's great. I love it. So you get some pretty cool stuff coming out of this. So you can create your training sheets here. So like if in my department, we have these like 25 operations, and I've got like these 16 employees. And then I can know like everyone's trained to like certain high competence, expert, low competence when we train them, et cetera. And then I can print out a training matrix. Let me share this tab instead. And so here's our training matrix, and here's all of our operations on top. Here's everything we're going to do. Here's everyone's training. And now I can see where our gaps are. So like what happens if someone's gone for the day? So if like Monty and Daniel are gone, like we're hosed on a lot of operations because no one knows how to do these. No one knows how to do this, right? So now as a supervisor, I can look and see, all right, we got some cross-training opportunities. You can also see when a new guy comes in, you can look and see like, oh, like here's everything he needs to do. So maybe we give him like the easy jobs and start filling in some of these squares. And then of course you can print this out, hang this up in front of your in your department somewhere, and kind of use that. So that's cool. That's a fun little chart. Another cool chart is the operator loading report. So not all environments, this what manufacturing environments does this work, but in some manufacturing environments, eventually, like you want to get to a place where you're building units on a timer, or like like the factory we were at this week, they want to use I think they have like a 33-minute tack time. So that means that they want to move the manufacturing line every 33 minutes. And so, well, what do you do? So as a supervisor, you want to make sure that, no one has more than 33 minutes of work assigned to them per unit, right? And so you would come here, and you can come in, you can select your department. Let's do exterior skins again. And then we'll pick just one workstation. And then let's say we are on a 33-minute tack time. And then let's just go here. And then let me, I think I lost share my screen share. Operator loading report, share. Let me share this instead. Okay, so here's our operator loading report. So now you can see, here's your operators on the floor. It looks like we got 6 going on. And then here's all of our jobs that we have on the side. And then I can just start grabbing jobs and stacking them up. And then our goal is to keep it less than 33 minutes, right? And so now I can make sure no one person is doing all the work, and everyone feels like, like the line is balanced, and you want everyone kind of build up almost to 33, but not quite over, so that way you can so no one's, so you want to build it up to that red line. So this is our operator loading chart, or operator loading chart, or Yamazumi chart, kind of depending on what you want to call it. And then of course you can print this out and then save this. You could also, I think, in conjunction with like your application, this could be something that like you would have maybe on one of your screens, so that way you because like it does change on it sometimes. Like some, maybe Greg's not here, so we got to take everything from Greg and we got to give it to Jacob, So this is where you can do. Maybe you have this as a live option, and you're just kind of like updating this as you go throughout your day. That could be a possibility there. What other cool charts you can get out of this? There is another cool chart. Probably the last one that I think is pretty sweet is our whip tracker. And so this is, let's say you're looking at your manufacturing plant, and you want to see where are all of our units. Let's deselect all. Let's deselect all these. Okay, so this is our whip tracker. So here you can see, here's all of our departments. And there's some configuration that goes behind this to kind of set all this stuff up. It's a little tedious to get set up. Once you get set up, it's pretty awesome. So here's all of our departments. And here is, each of these represents a unit in that department. So in this case, like a bus that's in this department. And then here we can see, here's all the operations that need to happen to it. So we have 30 still in process. 23 have been done. 1 is marked as incomplete. We can also track shortages here. So as parts get short, we can track shortages here. And then so as stuff, and then also we know like the time. So let's say we are at 33-minute tack time. Once a unit, let's go to this one, is ready to go. What's here incomplete? So let's say all these jobs are complete. We mark all these jobs are complete. Let's reopen it. It's past its tack time or whatever. But let's say we finish all this. Then all you got to do is click and drag it. Well, it won't let us because they're still incomplete pending operations. But once that's done, it'll let you drag it over to the next one. And then that again starts that timer over. Once it goes past like that 33 minutes, it'll send an email to like all of your supervisors and says, hey, this should have moved. It didn't. Is there an issue? Maybe we need to get some eyes on it, start getting some ideas. And then, but the idea is that this would be kind of like up in your plant somewhere on a big board. And then, so like everyone can look up and see, where are we throughout our day? It's kind of good status at a glance board, that kind of thing. So that's kind of those are kind of like our big applications. Those are our 2 most popular that people really get into is whip tracking or not whip tracking necessarily, but routine, the document control, operations management. It also does some AI stuff where you can create new standard work documents just by uploading a video. We did this a few weeks ago in Indiana. We recorded an operator creating they're cutting pipes to fit for like a shower for like an RV, building a shower inside the RV. And so the operator like cuts it, and then she had like the pieces. It was like a workstation, and then like a chop saw, and like the PVC pipe and all that jazz. And she's like cutting all the stuff, cutting it to size and measuring things. And the work instructions, like it built it, and it like the step one was like check your prints, make sure like based on the unit, know that you're going to cut to these measurements. And then 2, grab your supplies, and it caught a picture of her grabbing grabbing the PVC out of like the parts bin. It got it like when it came to like it got all the screenshots right. That's our newest thing. We're rolling that out now, where you can just upload a video and the AI will like generate like 75 to 80% of the steps and all that stuff for you, and they just kind of go through and double check on that. That's kind of our new thing. We're excited about that. It's pretty big deal for us anyway.
Cool.
But yeah, that's kind of like what we do. We have a few other applications. We have Resolve, which is our problem solving database. It's like meant to capture. So like if you have a problem, maybe a warranty claim or whatever, like sort of like manufacturing issues, safety, any of that stuff, like it's meant to, you can capture it, and then like you can create your own workflow based on what that is. So what we need to do for a warranty claim? Well, let's probably go collect information from them. We need to go check our back stock and make sure like there's none of those issues currently exist like on the units we have in our facility, do some containment there. Then it like has steps. You can walk through like a root cause analysis. Why did this happen? What sort of preventative measures do we need to put in place? And then finally we can get solutions. Do we need to create solutions? Does that mean we need to change engineering print? Do we need to update machine process? Do we need to change standard work? And they can track all that stuff. And then finally, once it's all done, you go back to the original person who reported the problem and say, hey, we closed the problem. Does this work for you? And they can say, yes, thank you. Or they can say, no, go back and do it again. Just kind of tracks all that and then gives visibility so people can see who owns what. It manages like the communication. So every time like it's like, hey, someone updated this, you get a notification that someone put in a solution. Kind of gives visibility across all that stuff. EngageBot, this is our calibration assets management. So like your machines, your calibrated tools, things like that. It's kind of acts as a repository for that. And then also you can track your you get your metrics out of here, like your machine downtime, your scrap, all that stuff. You can track all that information here. So if you have a job shop, this is kind of like a thing you might be interested in. Configurator, this is still in process. We're still working on this. It's a monster. Booster, this is like our OpEx activities and team development. So any sort of like continuous improvement processes or like, especially if we focus on like team development, those things are going to be here. So like minor Kaizens or major Kaizens. So let's say you're a guy in the shop floor and you and your teammates are like, hey, if we move this workbench over here, we'll save an average of like 30 steps per unit. And if we're making, 15 units, well, that adds up to a lot of steps over the course of a day, over the course of a week, that adds up to even more. So if we move this, it'll save us all a lot of time and energy, and then you can track all that stuff. Kind of track those improvements, and then gives people points for like engaging in those sorts of like continuous improvement processes. And then, it's kind of meant to build like a sense of like, oh, we're all in this together. We're trying to like make this plant better, kind of gamify the process. That's what Booster does. It's kind of about it as far as all of our tools. It's just like a real high level of what we do. I feel like I talked for like 20 minutes straight. I'm really sorry about that.
That's okay. Yeah. Get a drink to wet your whistle. So no, I was taking it all in. So I think I will go ahead and let's see, what are we doing here? Okay, this is being recorded. Let's see, how do I? Okay, this is being recorded, so how do I stop it from being recorded? Let me go down here. This is what happened. Oh, stop recording. How clever. Okay, are you sure you want to stop